Hello and welcome to another video. In this one, we're going to be talking about prompt commands, which has come up a few times in my streams, and how it works and what I use it for, and maybe you'll be inspired to do something as well. But let's jump into it. So for this video, I have started by unsetting it. So you'll see I do not have a prompt command variable. But prompt command is a variable you can set in bash shells. There's a different feature for other shells. Like I think Zish uses a pre-command functions, which is a little bit similar but somewhat different. But anyway, prompt command is a command string that will be run in between each command that you run on the command line. So if we set, for instance, prompt command equal to echo hi, it'll now run for every command that I run. So in between every command I run, it's going to run this little string here. Of course, if you want to turn that off, you can do unset prompt command. So on its own, it doesn't seem to be that useful, but if you think a little bit outside the box, you can do all sorts of neat stuff with this. And one particular tool that I've written that takes advantage of this is a tool called aactivator. Let me bring that up really quickly. I wrote this tool while I was at Yelp when we were adopting virtual environments, and it is a tool which aims to auto-activate and auto-deactivate based on a project setup. And it's intended to be kind of generic and other things, as a particular security interface as well. But the short and the long of it is you set up an activate.sh and a deactivate.sh, and you add a little thing to your shell initialization, which just adds that prompt command. We can actually look at what this does because I have Aactivator installed. And so before evaling it, this is what you would look at. And it sets the version, sets a special alias to the actual absolute path of the command. It uses this variable to keep track of stuff. And like I said earlier, pre-command functions is a similar thing for Zish, so it has Zish support. But in bash, it's going to set this prompt command. And it's going to essentially stick this little bit into the prompt command. This is kind of a item potency check here so that it doesn't stick it in twice. But it's basically going to check, does Aactivator exist? And then eval the output of Aactivator every time you change directories. And what this can be used for is if you have, I have it set up over here. Well, actually, I have more of a prompt command set up over here. Let me just show you how you would set it up using this here. Unset prompt command. And normally you add this to your shell initialization. Eval this. And so now we have a prompt command. See that it looks like this. And let's say I clone some repository that I have that has Aactivator set up, such as my admin of code for this year. And if we look here, we have .activate and .deactivate, and these are the two scripts that Aactivator hooks into. And you'll notice activate.sh here is a dead symlink, and that is intentional. When Aactivator does not see this as an existing file, it's going to basically ignore it. And so only when this virtualenv exists is it going to try and activate it. So if we do virtualenv venv to set up that virtual environment, you'll notice that Aactivator has kicked in immediately here, and this is it running in between the two commands. And this is kind of Aactivator's security prompt. It tells you that it will automatically source these two files, and it gives you a chance to look at those. So if we were to look at those over here in a different tab, you can see that this is, the virtualenv sourcer, and the deactivate is the virtualenv unsourcer, just the function deactivate. And you can say yes, no, or never, and that'll give Aactivator some information about whether it will be allowed to source these in the future or not. And so if we say yes here, you'll see that it has automatically activated the virtual environment and says Aactivator will remember this. And for those of you that have played games may recognize this string. It is a reference. But the cool thing about this is now if I were to cd out of that directory, which doesn't have those activate and deactivate scripts, Aactivator will know to deactivate this environment automatically. And if we were to cd back into it, it runs that command in between those two commands and activates the virtualenv for you. And it does this all automatically. And that's kind of the magic of prompt command. It doesn't need to override CD or anything else to do what it needs. It just looks at the working directory, figures out these two files, and runs source if it needs to. But anyway, that's prompt command, as well as one way that I use it via Activator. Hopefully you found this interesting. If there are additional things you would like me to explain, leave a comment below or reach out to me on the various platforms. But thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.